I'm Tony Jackson, and this is a video that's walking through a press release that was recently issued to talk about what I have done recently in terms of reversing type 2 diabetes. So, the title was 15 Criteria Help Vancouver Man Reverse Type 2 Diabetes. On May the 30th, 2018, Tony Jackson, a 63-year-old Vancouver businessman, received formal confirmation from his doctor that he had successfully reversed his type 2 diabetes. Today, his medical records reflect the fact that he is no longer diabetic. 3 consecutive gold standard blood tests over a 9-month period proved the success of Jackson's unorthodox program, a program that also saw him shed 120 pounds in 18 months. Type 2 diabetes is a problem the body develops that causes blood sugar to rise higher than normal. The condition increases the risk of many serious health problems. Heart attacks and stroke are almost twice as common in type 2 diabetics, for example, and they're only 2 of many known serious health threats. Now, until recently, it was considered impossible to reverse type 2 diabetes. The condition was classed as chronic and progressive. Those are 2 words you're going to hear a great deal, by the way, if you start diving into the whole type 2 diabetes topic. Jackson, though, is one of just a handful of people worldwide who have set out independently to eliminate their diabetes without the use of any medications, and succeeded in doing so. He documented his strategy and the entire experience from research to results in an online book and case study called 3 Boxes Ticked, Diabetes Gone. The 3 boxes ticked is a reference to 3 of the objectives he set out for himself at the beginning of his research. He wanted to reverse diabetes, record a major weight loss, and one condition he considers essential to success is not being hungry on the journey. He says, "The diagnosis in 2012 genuinely scared me. I was desperate to improve my condition, but it was clear from the very first research I did that the medical profession didn't really have a good handle on type 2 diabetes. Conventional treatments were all focused on symptoms. None dealt effectively with the core problem behind both diabetes and obesity. So, for example, many specialists quietly admit that there's a 98% failure rate for one of their recommendations that is central to conventional diabetes management. Others point out that one of the mainstream treatments actually makes the core problem worse." So, Jackson set out to learn everything he could about type 2 diabetes. He says it took more than 200 hours of digging before he found the answers he was looking for, and even then, he says, there was some luck involved. None of the answers were in any one place I looked. I stumbled over one of the biggest game changers almost by accident. Without it, I could not have made this program work. I explain in my book exactly how pivotal that single realization was to everything that followed. Now, initially, Jackson simply wanted to get better control of his blood sugar. But then he uncovered a study, only recently published and little known at that time, that demonstrated for the first time that diabetes 2 could indeed be reversed. "This study moved the goalposts for me," says Jackson. "I was no longer looking to just lower my blood sugar. Now I wanted to reverse my diabetes entirely." But the study, while encouraging, presented 2 challenges for Jackson. First, the researcher's strategy was to impose a severely calorie-restricted diet for 8 weeks. It's now actually imposed for 12 weeks. Jackson knew that that was out of the question for him. "I'm 63, says Jackson. I've been seriously overweight for more than 30 years, often 300 pounds or more. I have tried every reduced calorie diet under the sun. Every single one failed eventually. Every single one left me cold, tired, miserable. But worst of all, urgently hungry 24 hours a day. Ultimately, I gained all the weight back every time, and I often gained more than I'd lost. So I didn't see an even more severe diet being realistic for me. The second challenge was potentially the most discouraging. The researcher stated his approach was less successful the longer people had been diagnosed with diabetes. I knew I'd had the core problem for more than 30 years, even though my diagnosis was more recent, Jackson says. So I had to find a solution that was just as effective but far less extreme so that it wouldn't be hard to do. I realized I was going to have to be patient to slowly and steadily reverse the damage that had been getting worse for 3 decades. And I knew that if it wasn't easy, I'd fail. I'd quit. Jackson's research paid off. I developed an approach that I could slowly tiptoe into without having to take any big leaps of faith. It had none of the negatives I'd experienced before. Instead of being tired, I actually experienced a surge of energy. Instead of feeling miserable, I felt terrific. And very, very important to me, I was mentally sharp all my waking hours, which was a terrific bonus. But most important of all, over 18 months, while I dropped to 120 pounds, I was almost never hungry. And especially, I didn't experience that urgent hunger that seriously obese people know so well and hate so much. The health outcomes are naturally a focal point for Jackson today. The reduced risk of stroke, heart attack, and of developing Alzheimer's are priceless. But the quality of life issues are equally large. Jackson says, so many aspects of daily living are transformed when you drop from 315 pounds to under 200. But only someone who's been seriously overweight for many years can understand the 2 most satisfying outcomes of all. The first one is that I'm invisible. I am no longer the big guy in any gathering of people. I just blend in. I never realized that anonymity felt so good. And the other outcome? It sounds strange, but again, people who have been seriously overweight for years will understand completely when I say hunger doesn't own me anymore. Jackson says that what he's done seems to have reset some broken switches. If I do get hungry, it's not urgent anymore. I can just acknowledge it, be aware of it, set it aside. It's not a big deal. And when I eat, a signal gets sent inside my body that says, you've eaten enough, stop eating. These things too, he describes as priceless. Jackson's book and case study that details his more than 200 hours of research, the conclusions he came up with from that research, the program he developed as a result, and the outcomes he got from following that program. His book and his case study is available online as a digital download for desktop PCs and mobile devices. You can find it by visiting the following link, fuelupshapeup.com/15criteria, or use the link in the description below this video. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you can improve your health like I have done.